Hi, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me for 5 Cards, 5 Occasions for the month of April. This month's challenge is stickers and rub-ons, and this is card number 3, which is a Happy Mother's Day card. I have 2 Mother's Day cards to make, so this is going to be my first one. So I'm just using an off-white base and an off-white panel. The smaller panel, I used my rectangle stitch die and cut that out. And I picked out some flower rub-ons from this set, and I'm adhering the rub-ons to a piece of vellum. And so I do that for each of the flowers that I think I'm going to use. And I'm just hand cut around each of the flowers. I didn't want to put the rub-on directly onto the card panel because I wanted it to overhang a little bit, which I wouldn't have been able to do with just a rub-on, so I needed a backing to it that wasn't going to be a solid piece of cardstock, and so I picked the vellum. And so I cut out each of the flowers, and then I take some Sharpie markers and color in the whites part of the flowers. And I'm not sure which collection these Sharpies are. I picked out the pastel colors from it. There are pastel and dark colors. I will leave a link, or not a link, but in the supply list below, I will leave which collection these are. I have to go check. But I'm going over these fairly lightly. As you can see, I have to keep rubbing or wiping my pen off. That's because a little bit of the residue from the rub-on was getting onto the tip of my Sharpie. And so I tried to go over it fairly lightly so that it wouldn't rub off any onto the tip of the pen. So now I'm taking my stitched panel, and I'm just using some double-sided foam tape. This is the tape that I've been using lately. It's just from the dollar store. Usually comes in a pack with a roll and then foam squares. But it works decent just if you're putting it in strips. It's not really great for cutting. So if I have to cut, then I usually will use something else. I'm taking a piece of this silver thread. This was a part of a My Hero Arts monthly kit. And I want to say maybe January. I don't remember if this was with the Valentine's Day items or not. But it was something, it was one of the kits within the last couple of months. And so I just wrap that around the card, and it sticks to the double-sided foam tape. And I adhere the panel to my card base. And then here I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to position my flowers. And I end up wanting another flower, so I do go back through the book of rub-ons and find another flower that I do end up using. This flower right here I'm coloring. I don't think I end up using it, so I'll just save it for another project. I colored the centers or around the centers with a yellow Sharpie, and then this one's kind of a light green, which actually when I'm looking at it now I kind of like it, but I must not have liked it the other day because I do end up picking out another flower and coloring that kind of in a pale pink color. So I just do the same thing, cut it out and adhere it to a piece of vellum. And I just wanted this card to be something fairly simple, not a lot going on, just something clean and simple. And so here I'm just rubbing it onto the vellum, and then I will hand cut that out and color it with another Sharpie. And rub-ons are great because you can use them on lots of different things. You can use them on wood, and I've actually used them on wood and it's worked great. Paper, glass. Here I try and use the liquid Tombow Mono Aqua glue, and it didn't adhere real well to the card. And the vellum actually did ripple a slight bit. It's not real noticeable, but so when I do the rest of the flowers, I do not use the liquid glue. I put some foam squares behind the top of the flower that's overhanging the panel because that panel is raised. And so I didn't want the leaves just floating there. So I wanted them kind of the same height as the panel. And I'm just taking my acrylic block and pushing down to try and get that to adhere to the card. And then I'm going to place my flower. So this flower, I am going to pop it up with some foam squares. And I do actually use quite a bit of foam squares. And this will be going through the mail, so I might have to actually wrap it. I don't think I could put it in the envelope and just like it is, because it is so dimensional. But so this next flower, I just kind of tuck underneath the lilac colored flower, and this time I use my tape runner to adhere that to the card. And kind of just lay that underneath the top flower a little bit. And then the next flower is going to be popped up using some foam squares. And that flower, you can't really tell. It's a really pale blue that I colored it. It looks white in the video, but I did color that actually with a Sharpie, so that's kind of a pale blue color, or like a blue-green maybe. And so the next thing I do is take the stems, which were in the same collection of rub-ons, and these have leaves on them, so I just end up cutting those off. So I place a stem for each flower. And that's directly onto the card panel. I don't use any vellum for this. And I just cut off any that overhangs the panel. And so I'm going to use my Wink of Stella to go over the tops of the flowers. And the sentiment that I use, it just says Happy Mother's Day. And it is a rub-on from a little sentiment book. And there I'm just testing my Nuvo drops. But this is the sentiment book that I got the Happy Mother's Day sentiment from. And I'm just going to rub that onto a strip of white cardstock, just a scrap piece that I had. I'm not doing anything fancy with it. I'm just rubbing it on the cardstock and cutting the edges straight. I don't do a fishtail or anything like that. It's just a simple card. And so I do pop this up though on the card with some foam squares. Of course, foam squares are wonderful. Or foam strips. I would love to get me some more foam strips. I have some and I don't remember where I got them from. I think Stampin' Up! Carries them. I don't know anybody else that does. But I would love to get some foam strips because they're fairly thin and they fit perfectly for putting sentiments that are this small. So I just pop that up on the card, and then I'm going to use some white Nuvo drops to place randomly around the card. And that's it for this card. I like how it turned out, and I'm sure my mother or my mother-in-law, whoever I give it to, will like it also. But I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for card number 4 sometime this weekend. I hope you enjoyed again. Thanks so much for joining me, and please like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.